Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? Cal here. We got another episode of Lore Masters podcast, and this time we got a special guest. As I've been talking about on the podcast before, I have been taking saber classes and training to become a real-life Jedi, and it brings me esteemed pleasure, absolute esteemed pleasure, to present to you my instructor, my battle master, Jedi Jared.
Hello.
Oh, welcome. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
So, how many weeks has it been so far? It's been over a month now? Like almost 2 months?
Sure. I'd say at least 2 months now, right?
Just about 2 months, I think. And let me be honest, chat, I get my ass beat every time. It's rare that I get a win, but out of everything I take L's in, this has got to be the most fun I've had taking losses, because it's not loss for the sake of loss. It's losses because I'm trying to learn something, or rather, I'm trying to unlearn things that I've learned, and I enjoy it. I guess our first question would be, how did the Queen's Guard come about? How long has the Queen's Guard been around?
The Queen's Guard's fairly recent, and it's the latest iteration of a number of these clubs that I've run over the years. I've been doing this for well over a decade. So the Queen's Guard, we started, my wife and I, after we moved down from Pittsburgh, where we ran the Steel City Knights, a similar club. Before that, I ran the Clemson Saber Council down at Clemson University, and the Imperial Knights of Greenville. So, been doing this for a while, but new city, time for a new group.
Yeah. And I am super excited that I found it. Didn't really expect to ever find a saber group in my lifetime, like ever. But well, go figure. New city, new environment. I'm personally a transplant from Maryland to North Carolina, and I've never, in all the years I've lived in Maryland, I've never seen one saber group, not even one class. Or like from Maryland through DC to Virginia, I haven't seen not one.
You know, and strangely enough, I don't think I have heard of one in DC or in that area. There's still kind of on the rare side. Depending on where you're at, though, there are a fair amount of organizations doing this in one form or another.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your big cities, and sometimes it's not. There are random towns that just have one because there happens to be a collection of nerds who started one.
And we are indeed a collection of nerds. If anybody has the pleasure of joining us in person, just count on either me or Lexi doing a Tuscan chant. We're gonna do it. Just count on it. Okay, it's become a thing. I've made it a thing, and it. Fuck it.
Meeting hasn't started until we have one. And it hasn't ended until we have a high ground joke.
Speaking of,
you underestimate my power.
The power of the chosen one. I thought I had it. I really did. Like, first day of class, I thought I was hot shit. the way I've been humbled by all the knuckle checks and wrist checks, how important would you say gear, whether it be light armor or any armor of any sort, how important would you say that is to this sport and I guess protective gear period for this type of choreography?
So that's a good question, because the answer is convoluted depending on what version of the sport you're doing. That answer scales dramatically. You have groups like Ludosport in Italy, which is more similar to what we do, though they are primarily, surprisingly, sparring, where they're engaging in combat with very little protective gear, a light set of gloves, and that's about it.
They use 7/8 blades, don't they?
They do, which is one thing that's a little different from what we currently do. Not something I'm ruling out for the future. Wouldn't mind revisiting that idea. Our nearest club actually uses 7/8, if I remember correctly, Aiken Saber Academy down in Aiken, South Carolina. So, and that of course changes things dramatically. The type of blade, the weight of blade that you're using will change what you need to use. Heavy grade 1-inch blades can withstand strikes from, pretty much any actual martial arts training weapon at that point. Whether it be a straight up a quarterstaff rated to, hit people or not, a heavy grade will withstand it, which means your body won't. As I can speak to personally, you need to wear protective gear if you're going to engage in heavy combat, head to toe.
Oh yeah. If anybody is subscribed to the channel and you've seen my Bendu Armory review, this blade I have whacked the trunk, the actual heart of a tree in a forest, and my hilt took more damage than the actual blade. My hilt took more damage than the actual blade. This thing, I've tried to break it. I've tried. I like the heavy grade. I do. I guess as a newbie to the lightsaber community, I would like to see more durable 7/8 blades.
As would I.
I don't think it's impossible to make a very durable, dual-worthy 7/8 NeoPixel, but at least we have the 3 mil thick hollow 7/8. At least we have that now. So there is that.
They have come a long way. It used to be that 7/8 was pretty much unfit for anything except show. It used to be if you wanted to engage in any kind of blade-on-blade contact, even just for particularly vigorous choreography, you had to use a 1-inch blade. Nothing else would survive, at least not long enough to help you.
Yeah, and we've broken a few in class. We definitely shattered that 7/8 because I thought I could use it for Form 2 duel. That did not work out in my favor at all. And then we shattered a 1-inch. We actually shattered a couple of them.
Oh yeah, and with time they don't last forever.
They're not going to. They're basically riot shields.
Yeah, they crack. I don't know how visible any of it'll be, but they crack, they age, they start to split apart, especially on this particular hilt because we wail on this one.
Yeah, then you have new technology that comes out over the years. I swear I sound like a TV salesman when I talk about the Bendu blades, but before Bendu Armory came around, it was unheard of. It was actually taboo. It was almost sacrilegious to try and duel with a NeoPixel blade.
Mhm.
Then Andrew figured out a way. He made a sleeve on the inside of it of a 3 mil thick 1 inch blade, and this thing is hefty. I wonder how durable the 2 mils are. I bet you they're just as strong. So this thing, I've actually deadly run over this thing. I have whacked it against a tree. I've broken a tree branch off of it.
Mm-hmm. I have a few
Jay tried to take my head off.
heavy grades that just they have been with me since the beginning, so they're over a decade old.
A decade.
I would have no hesitation to go ahead and throw them back into combat. Most of my heavy grades are that old.
That actually brings me to my next question. Like, how long have you been in not only the lightsaber community, but in the Star Wars Jedi Ludo Sport community?
So, in terms of the lightsaber community, when I started, there were, if you think there are no clubs now, wow. We had nothing when I started. That would have been, I got to do some math. Somewhere around 2010, 2009, somewhere in there.
Wow, I graduated high school in 2009.
We barely had, let's put it this way, in terms of people selling lightsabers, we have so many more options now in terms of equipment, in terms of everything. It was pretty much Ultra Sabers or some dude making in his garage. That's about all we had.
I remember Vader's Vault had the early 2010s on a chokehold.
Yeah, they did.
Now it's a bit concerning. It's like a lot of from what I've seen, traversing the lightsaber communities, plural, a lot of the OGs have fallen off.
They have.
And the unfortunate part of that is a lot of the new companies like Saber Bay, which is who I can think of right off the top of my head, are trying to live up to that OG business model and standard of, I guess, barter system and such. And it's not holding anymore. Like, just this week, I saw, since I brought up Saber Bay, just saw him in the middle of a call out post, a couple of them. Like, he was up there, unquestioned, super reputable, and then a few call out posts over the Facebook groups. It's like, all right, so if this is how you're doing business to business, now I gotta wonder how you're gonna do business from business to customer, because that already is a bad look. If you're not paying your chassis designers, but you still want to use their work and sell their IP, it's rented. You gotta pay for that. Yeah. On the flip side, you also got Vader's Vault, who used to be very affordable. They used to be. Like, I remember a time where their most expensive saber their second most was $600. Their most expensive was $1,200. Now the $1,200 is their second most expensive.
Oh yeah. Now I don't own a Vader's Vault myself. That said, one of my friends who guided me early on in the sport, he does own one. It is one of his favorite pieces, but it also isn't the one he uses for combat the most. interestingly enough, considering that they are rated for it, and that has always been their bragging point is you can take our product and fight with this, and yet it's not his favorite. They'll go for a cheaper one before that one.
Honestly speaking, because the Queen's Guard is are you teamed up with, working with, or are you affiliated with like LGT, Crimson Dawn, and all and those sites?
No current affiliations. We're small enough and recent enough. We haven't, hitched our name to anybody. So no affiliation yet. Our recommendation list is usually based on, hey, we've ordered from them, we like them. That usually ends up being about it. As we grow, that's probably going to end up having to shift, especially as our equipment need increases.
Mm-hmm. Which we're definitely getting there.
Yeah.
The last session we had in the park, we scored one new student. Actually, we've scored 2 new students this month alone.
Yes. And that's not even counting people who just come by for a casual lesson every now and then, or just come once and want to swing around a saber. All, every hand we have that joins, it's another saber that we need out there. So days are coming where we're going to have to increase what we have on hand. So
how do you feel about I guess this saber industry as it is now, like from price point to quality to, I guess, ease of access, ease of customization?
It's definitely improved in a lot of ways from the early days. Early days, there weren't a lot of options. There wasn't a whole lot of customization unless you were willing to spend a lot of money to have it done. These days, there are more options and more DIY light options. Is one thing. One big honorable mention is the Custom Saber Shop. They've been selling parts to this hobby forever.
Yeah.
But you better be willing to build your saber from the ground up, and most hobbyists aren't. I'll be honest. I'm one of them. I do not have the time or the resources to sit down and build my saber from pieces, literally just chunks. Never done it. I can repair my own. That's about where my DIY interest stops. These days, there's a fair amount of interchangeability among different saber component systems, and one good thing about the blades being largely standard, it doesn't really matter who you get the blade from or if you make your own. You're going to be able to fit it.
These days, yeah. These days.
So that's a good thing.
I will definitely agree. The DIY niche in the hobby has really blossomed. I'll say in the last 6 months. Just in the last 6 months.
Oh yeah.
Because this V2 was the actual first high-end saber I've ever put my hands on. This is my first. This is my baby. But it is arguably not my favorite. It's my baby, but it's only my daily driver because I don't have the one I actually want right now. But everything I've learned from this thing, from the Profi board to weathering, I personally am okay with it being a $600 investment, because the condition of me getting it was I had to learn it. I'm learning it, and oh my god, I'm going through all the troubles. I thought I bricked it. I thought I bricked it a few weeks ago, and then I found out it was just a driver issue. It was just simply a driver issue.
Not too
But
long ago. Your resource to solve it would have been scarce.
Oh my god! Like I would have had to send it to somebody. Like top of the year, I would have had to send it to somebody. I would have had to, no question about it. Now, I really got to give credit to the subreddit lightsaber community, both on Reddit and in Discord. Which, even though they're the same umbrella, it is two vastly different communities. Completely different. It's still the subreddit, but it's a stark difference between who interacts on Reddit and who interacts on Discord. And truth be told, I kind of prefer Reddit because as great a resource as the Discord server is, I've had to scroll past too much catty drama. I've had to scroll past too much catty drama in the Saber community.
That part never changes. Who's beefing with who's irritated with whom, it does not stop.
No, it doesn't. I mean, the more reoccurring things is somebody who's brand new to Sabers and asks about Star Wars theory. Then that starts a whole thing for like a day and a half. Then you got somebody who's trying to build their collection on very affordable Disney park replicas. And then you have the super high-end prop collectors. Not lightsaber enthusiasts, but prop collectors. Who, in their defense, I don't believe they mean any harm by it, howsoever, comma. The way they go about touting the sub-niche of this sub-niche gets a bit toxic and gets real elitist. It gets super elitist. I don't like that. I really don't like that. Because it's number one, Star Wars has always been for everybody. Literally everybody, even the people you don't like. I personally don't like what Star Wars Theory has done to the saber industry, and in the terms of jacking up the prices so astronomically high that I've seen TXQ Graflexes listed for like 1,200. 12. And it's a budget version. It's not even a legit foam or Graflex flash gun. It's a budget. And people in the resale market or not even in just the resale market, but certain vendors selling budget stuff for 2-3 times the actual asking price. With that being said, what would be your holy grail for a lightsaber? What's your holy grail?
It becomes a hard one. So, let me clarify. For Holy Grail, what do you mean for me personally, or what I hope for the community?
More so for you personally.
So,
I actually wasn't even thinking about the community, but yeah.
For me, that's where my mind always goes. Having been here so long. For me personally, I mean, everyone asks for it, but man, we need more options for good, slim, combat grade curved hilts. There
Curved
are
hilt.
almost none that are made more with one handing in mind. They're mostly large. And it's not always a problem. I mean, I have one I quite enjoy, but
Mhm.
this is a lot of fun. But it's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I have noticed they're, I guess the only one-handed curved saber that I've ever seen in Star Wars would be Asajj Ventress's original pair.
Mhm. And there are some halfway decent replicas of it, but they're not comfortable.
No.
They're
And
not
they're definitely
comfortable.
not combat grade either. Their blade depth
No.
is like 3/4 of an inch at best.
Yeah, it's not going to do it. The curve is too pronounced, and it's too far back. So
Do you think it's a matter of the technology or geometry to get a blade to fit in deep enough?
probably a little bit of both. Uh, Playing around with some DIY designs for a decent curved hilt that might do what I want it to
Mhm.
do. We realized that a lot of the conventional build concepts kind of go out the window. So where you have things placed is going to have to change. Everything from button placement to where in the hilt is the chassis going to live. And then that brings up another problem. Uh, you're going to need a custom chassis,
Mhm.
and you have to account for the fact that your board is not curved. So,
Right.
however you're going to fit everything in there, you have to leave enough space for some components that aren't going to be curved. So,
I guess
all
you would have
that,
to use a wired connector otherwise, right? If you
yeah,
want to
and
get into that curve.
ultimately, that's what uh, some of the places that have made one have done something like that. Or they'll put the curve at the back end where they just have to run a speaker with a connector, and that's all they have to do. But in any case, I'm pretty sure that's why we don't see a lot of good options. You're going to have to come up with a whole bunch of ways to produce exactly one hilt. Not cost effective. If you're going to make it, you're going to have to charge quite a bit for it in order for it to be worth your time. Which is
Yeah.
why you see things like the Bat Axe, which is one I would love to get my hands on. Probably the closest thing I've seen out there to what I'm looking for. But even it is not quite there. Again, that curve is all the way in the back of the hilt.
I wonder
Goal would
how
be
they
more
would
towards the
manage to do
middle.
it for Dooku.
For
Or
Dooku,
rather, yeah, because his,
it's usually two bends with a straight section in the middle.
yeah, well, even for his Jedi version, because it's just a straight banana curve.
Oh,
Between
it
his
is.
Jedi version and Ahsoka's katana hilts, they're just a banana curve.
The
And
katana hilts might be done similarly to this one, where it's kind of an oval, so you
yeah,
can still fit the straight chassis inside. It's just not going to line up with where you necessarily think it's going to be. That's my guess anyway for that one. Dooku's Jedi version? I have no idea, but it's possible they went ahead and did some experimental stuff. That one's quite expensive.
I think
Uh,
it's easier to do it with Dooku's Jedi and Sith versions because they're more cylindrical, even though they're curved. Ahsoka's is a bit of more of a challenge because it's rectangular and curved,
Funky
and
shape.
not, yeah, and it's narrow on the inside. It's actually a very narrow space to work with. The ELF Sabers one has not even ELF. Ultimate Works. That's the one I'm thinking of. They have a whole thing that's literally printed along the curve, and it's pieces specifically for that hilt, but you can't take any of it out. There's no taking any of that out. It's part of the display. It's 150% part of the display. You got to charge it within the saber.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even think about taking anything out. Don't even think about swinging it around. Just leave it on your shelf.
And that's unfortunately where some of those have ended up as shelf pieces.
And I really feel like that's a shame for sabers. I feel like it's a real shame, because where I will agree with a lot of prop collectors, most of these are not fit for dueling in any sense, and they should be on the shelf. Howsoever, with technology becoming more and more compact, especially internal technology and tiny technology like this, we are diminishing the excuses for why we can't have dual worthy, not just NeoPixel, but high-end NeoPixel sabers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's 89. You ain't really supposed to be dueling with it. However, this particular version was built with customers who duel in mind. You can be prepared to fix some things, but even the website says medium to light dueling. So, you know, a little bit of show taps. I'm not that medium to light type of dude. We're not that medium to light dueling type of group. If we going for it, we're gonna go for it. We go for it every week. If you're in the Charlotte area and you have time on a Sunday, come through. Just come through. Even if it's for like half an hour, just come through. Come through. Swing some sabers. Clash some sabers. Looking for a group? I personally can't recommend higher than Queen's Guard. If you're in South Carolina, you already got Aiken. You kind of got the cream of the crop down there. I'm sorry, Aiken got South Carolina on lock. But you want to learn some flow? You want to learn some show choreography? We got you. You want to learn how to duel? Like actually Saber Legion type duel? We got you. We definitely got you. We've pretty much rounded out class with Saber Legion type duels for the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, and that's usually how I like to end class, is to let everyone unwind, get a couple sparring sessions in. Though I will say we use a lot more restraint than you'd see in a Saber Legion duel. A lot more restraint. I mean, they're wearing steel. Of course, they can hit each other as pretty much as hard as they like.
Yeah, they're coated in Duraplast.
Yeah, they are ready to go and collect on some bounties with all that armor. I've done that kind of dueling, the heavy armor dueling. It's fun, but you pay for it.
How much training do you have to do? I guess in the off season. Is it constant?
Well, for me, I don't really have an off season. If I'm not actively meeting, I'm at least going to try to do something, even if it's just dance and move sets in the hallway. Grab a saber and get some swings in the driveway. That said, I mean, doesn't mean I'm not going to take a couple weeks off here and there. But there are small drills. I mean, there's even drills you can do while you're just standing in the shower that can help with your precision, your focus, your footwork. Footwork being one of the hardest ones to change in my experience so far.
Yeah, footwork has definitely become it's definitely where I keep losing because I wasn't the way I was trained in martial arts. I wasn't too much trained on a whole lot of footwork. I was trained on a more redirecting your opponent's momentum. So it doesn't really leave a whole lot of room for a lot of foot placement. You're more so waiting and reacting. That's thankfully what I've had to unlearn, and I'm learning now proper footwork, which equals proper weight and energy distribution and conservation all in one.
Yeah, and if your body doesn't remind you from strain and pains later, your opponent certainly will if you get your feet wrong. I took part in a broadsword demonstration yesterday down in York, South Carolina, and my broadsword footwork is garbage. Of course, the crowd doesn't know that, but here I am getting absolutely trashed. Getting in a couple of hits here and there, as my blade work is okay, but my broadsword footwork is not. It's not good. It's okay. It's a new one for me. And I'm just sitting there going, this is what I need some more of. As some humbling moments are always good, no matter whether you've been in this community or a related community for a few months or many decades. Every time you lose, you're going to learn something, and that then begs the question: did you actually lose or not? And in my
If you
opinion,
didn't
no.
learn, I feel like if you didn't learn, you did lose.
Then you lost. But as long as you learn something,
it doesn't count as a loss.
Yeah,
you
coming away.
You may not have won the
better
battle.
For it.
You may not have won the battle, but you lived to tell the tale, and you lived to learn something from it, to try again later. That, I believe, doesn't count as a true loss. What would you define as a true loss?
We've had a couple of them in the past, where even then it's hard to say who actually lost. Over the years, we've had some students who didn't work out for one reason or another, but a big one is pride and an inability to learn from losing. If you can't learn something and come back the better for it and accept that there's always going to be someone better than you are losing, and I am losing as your instructor. No one is winning in this situation. It's a profound and total failure for all parties, which is why when I'm training new people, I'm so diligent about reminding them, hey, you're going to lose a lot. Victory does not matter here. Don't worry about it. Don't count it. Don't even think about it. Just go, hey, okay. What can I take from this? What can I learn? How can I advance? And ask me. Ask our other instructors. What can I do better? How can I take that experience and do more next time? It seems to be working. I mean, Cal, I know you downplayed your own skills, but you have made tremendous progress in a very short amount of time. And you are going to do very, very, very well at your trials this fall.
I am ecstatic for my trials. Like, my wife is sick of hearing about it at this point because I talk her ear off about, hey, you want to train with me? You want to spin some things with me? It's like, bitch, I'm tired. I am tired. I just want to sleep. I don't want to hear the hum of a saber. I don't want to hear the words Star or Wars in the same sentence. Leave me alone. But man, I have not had more support in not just the combat aspect and the flow aspect of it, but my interest in Star Wars period than I have from my family now. My wife is she's not a Star Wars head by any means. Howsoever, she already has her favorite lightsaber. She does not know or care about the backstory of this saber. She just knows it feels good in the hand. It feels good for her to swing. She can do some shit with it. You know what? For me, that's enough. That's enough. You went above and beyond. You entertained me. You let me buy my own, and you found one that you like. You found one that you love. I cry. She brings me to tears, and I love it. I also love the fact that if you didn't know, the two heads of this great group are husband and wife of the same form.
This is my wife's. This is not mine. This monstrosity.
This is my wife's. Even though I take this with me to class every chance I get. It's my main belt hanger, but this is hers. This is when I have this on my hip, I got her with me. Which is why I can never part with this thing. As much as I'm used to downsizing my collection, I can never part with the Youngling Slayer now. I can't. I can part with my Lukes. I can part with both of them. Hers? Not touching it. I will fix that thing till I don't have room in the house anymore. Youngling Slayer's not going anywhere. That's hers. That's my wife's. Part of the reason why I want a Graflex, because look, I got bassist hands, okay? This thing is thinner than my katana hilt. I need a Graflex grip. This works. This has got a 1-inch outer and inner diameter. I can deal with that. Actually, no, the outer diameter's got to be about 2 inches, maybe. Because this one is definitely a 1-inch outer. And for large hands like these versus my wife's very, very dainty, very demure hands, Youngling Slayer works for her. Your wife swings that claymore like nobody's business.
Yeah, no. She's like, "Hey, want a duel?"
And I'm always the first one that says yes.
First question.
I'm always the first one that says yeah. Like I hear anybody say, "You want to duel?" Like, yes. Hi. I'm here. Would you like to sacrifice?
That monstrosity, and you go, "Oh,
all right.
Yes." Let me breathe a minute first.
Yeah, let me prepare myself for this loss I'm about to take, because all right. let me sip on some tea first. Oh, but no, Jared and Lexi have been nothing but the greatest instructors that really any Star Wars nerd or newbie, no matter the age, could ask for. I'm learning how to teach from them, which coincidentally, I am teaching this afternoon, shortly after this podcast.
Yes, you are.
This is my first time teaching anything that is not music. This is my first time teaching anything, any subject that is not music. And I'm nervous. Not only that, I'm teaching a class. But not just 101, I'm teaching a class.
Yep.
Woo.
Frying pan into the right into that fire.
Oh, if this ain't part, I swear this needs to be part of the trials. This should be part of the trials. This should be the trial of knowledge. And chat, in a couple hours, we're definitely gonna see if I pass or fail this trial of knowledge. I think I'm gonna pass it. I have a good feeling about today. Don't have too good of a feeling about my Wi-Fi, but I have a good feeling about the class. I think we're gonna make great progress. I hope this goes well, because if it does, then that means more virtual classes in the future, not just on Flow, but as we were talking about. Sorry for the spoilers, but yeah, we got things in the works. We're gonna teach you how to repair and get into your own lightsaber, and we're gonna teach you the difference between in-hilt LEDs versus NeoPixel. So everything you need to know about your sabering adventures, no matter where in the hobby spectrum that you fall, whether you're just somebody who likes the toys at Walmart. If you are one of those people, I highly recommend LIGHTSABERS Power Saber. Highly recommend it. It's the toy saber that we wish we had as kids when they were out. Telescoping blade that is auto extended and auto retractable. A fully retractable telescopic blade. What?
Long way from the cheap Halloween props that.
Oh my god! Like, let's take it just back 20 years. Revenge of the Sith toys. And I had Anakin's and Obi-Wan's. Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan's came with force effects. Like, that was the first movie that the toys came out and each saber did something different. Anakin's blade had a color change. Obi-Wan's had force rumble. Yoda's had quotes. I think his was the first saber with movie quotes. His and Count Dooku's. These were $20. These were $20 back then. These things are like $50 and $60 now. And to be honest, with the technology that's in it, I'm not upset about that. I am not upset about that. My kids have better Star Wars toys than I did. In the past tense. They love my sabers because, well, this one in particular, since it's a Prophet, I programmed it to do whatever. My youngest daughter loves Sailor Moon and unicorns and anything sparkly. I can't stand it on my blade. However, I do have a config for her. I have a config specifically for her. And it's all the cutesy colors that you could think of. It does all the cute shit. The rainbow, the pink flashes, Sailor Moon. That config is specifically for her. So when she's of age and she can swing around a NeoPixel, that's going in her Profi.
Yeah, she'll be ready to roll.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Profi is even going to still be around by then. Because, let's see, my youngest is 9 now. And I think for her to be of age for a NeoPixel, see, if she's 9, that's in 7 years. 7 years, she'll be 16. I'm curious as to where lightsaber technology is going to be in the next 7 years. Because Disney has their retractable coming out soon, right?
So they say.
So they say.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I've been hearing confirmed reports from the most recent D23 convention, but seeing is believing. Seeing is
For sure.
believing. We'll see when they actually make it concrete. So like, they could have already had it out with Goliath sabers because Hasbro walked away from the deal, which I don't fault them for. I don't fault them for it, because the kid that made these sabers is doing so much better with his product not being tied to Hasbro. He's doing so much better with his product not being tied to Hasbro, and I really truly feel in my heart that is the reason why they walked away from the deal. In order for Hasbro to accept that deal, I think they would have had to completely absorb his IP. They would have had to completely absorb it, effectively making him an employee, which is not what he went to them for. That's not what he went to them for. Instead, they gave him the chance and the opportunity to do what they're doing. And Power Saber's selling out. It's selling out left and right. I'm really happy about this product. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in my house because, well, the telescoping blades that we have in the house, I keep finding pieces of.
There will be bits of them all over the place.
Because my youngest, the absolute youngest, he doesn't understand his own strength when it comes to delicate objects. He does not understand his own strength. Period. He smacked my youngest daughter accidentally with one of these blades, and right in the forehead. She got a nice little Anakin scar now.
Oh no!
Yeah, she got an Annie. She got an Annie, right, literally in the same exact spot as Anakin. I had to put the bandage on her. Like, as much as I really want to feel bad about this, sweetheart, your scar is badass. Okay, I'm really sorry that you got hit in the forehead, but your scar is badass, and it won't be until you're older that you will understand just how badass your scar is. Like you've been blessed. You've been blessed with the scar of the chosen one.
I was gonna say she is the chosen one,
right? Like man, I'm over here teared up talking about these child. Those are my babies. Which you finally got to finally got to see them in action. My two oldest boys. And yeah, now you see why I'm hard on them about training. They can do it. They can do it. And they're actually enjoying it. Which I really like that for them. I like them in our group. I like the fact that we have a reasonable minimum age range. So minimum age range to participate with our group is 16 with your parents' consent, and that's strictly with your parents' consent. And then we don't really have a cap on how old you can be. We haven't had anybody tote the Palpatine line yet, so I mean the closest we got is probably Jay, who tries to take my head off every chance he gets. But man, Jay is my first rival, like, ever in anything. He's my first ever rival, and I didn't know how good it felt to have a rival until I joined. Which brings me to, I guess, my next point. If you hadn't taken a chance on not just your vision for the group, but on yourself as a Jedi, do you think you would have made it to this point, or do you think the group would have happened anyway?
Honestly, had I never taken the leap into this, a lot of people would have never had the opportunity to do it either. It's sometimes humbling to stop and think how much influence this has had over the years. I mean, all of my groups are teeny tiny. These aren't your international groups. These aren't your setting out to form, multi-country juggernauts with hundreds of people competing every year. That's never been the intention. Never been the goal. Even so, yesterday's broadsword demonstration, my friend Finn organized that. He operates the Gateway Guardians. They've morphed into less of a lightsaber only club and more of a let's whack people with sticks and learn how to do it correctly in many ways club. But the group exists because I trained him in lightsaber combat years and years ago. And that really set him on the path to where he is now, where he is teaching other people, running his own club. One thing that always makes me sad about how stunted we did get, COVID shut us down for a long time, and we and Rock Hill were the last ones standing. The rest of the clubs did not survive. Pittsburgh is not operating anymore. Greenville is not operating anymore. Clemson is not operating anymore. People move on, and without time to pass those torches, they didn't make it. But even so, when we do events like the trials, members even from these other clubs that are now defunct will still come out and visit for the other group's trials and help. And almost makes me tear up every time we have something like that, as it really underscores how much reach me deciding with one of my college roommates, hey, want to learn how to flail around some glow sticks in the parking lot? Well, that's how it started. It was my roommate and I trying to figure out how to flail old V2 Ultra Sabers. And here we are, and
sabers.
More and more people are learning. And so, yeah, that's the long-winded version of I'm very glad I made the leap, and I don't think I would personally be where I am, and at least the local sport, I don't think would be where it is with that original jump. Of course, if anyone attends one of our meetings, you will find out I tend to ramble and ramble and ramble. You'll get a lot of good information, but
that's most Jedi Masters do. So with I guess Finn now organizing his own group, does that make you feel like a Yoda?
Oh, for sure. Way back when, at the Clemson group, when I moved on to Greenville, after my time at Clemson, I finished my time at Clemson, and moving on in the world, moving on to new jobs and new cities, moved a little bit away. I turned the group over to one of my night rank students, and he proceeded to train more students and put them through the trials without my daily assistance, which was the first time that had ever happened, that another group on its own was able to train and knight another. I felt kind of like a grandpa that day, in a good way. So having seen the proof that the system can perpetuate itself, it's really gratifying. It's honestly, it's the real reason I do this. I love lightsaber combat. I love getting out there and flailing the ever more advanced glow sticks.
Yes.
But teaching people what we do and seeing that fire light and other people go on to teach more, that's my favorite.
I'm just a little awestruck because you said these ever evolving glow sticks, and I remember when you used to have to pay like $600 just for a baselit. Like baselit was the thing. Now we're what? Not even a full decade. So I'd say baselets and all those started around 2009. We're at 2024. Oh yeah, it is over a decade now. It's almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. It's a decade and a half.
Baselets evolved.
Oh wow, it's literally 15 years later. Baselit, I don't know how much baselit has evolved. I really don't, aside from them still being flashlights. Like, God forbid you are flashlighting somebody's face.
Now you can change the color, which is better than it used to be.
And you have sounds and SD cards
and
now.
You have sound. And
but
it's good sound.
Before it was just, we still have one of those in our training bag. You just click it and it's just a light. That's it. It's just the one light. The one light, and that's it. Make your own sounds. Do your own VFX for it. It's never going to do anything.
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
Click. That's it.
That's it. You don't get the whole cascade and then.
Nope.
I swear I burned out so many batteries just doing that because it's so satisfying just watching it cascade down. Like, oh, I have a real lightsaber. Who would you? I guess what would be your ranking for saber manufacturers now?
Tough one. Especially a tough one because it's part of it's actually one of the things that I largely delegate within the group to people who are more tech versed than I am, and that said, I don't know if I could recommend any of the OGs anymore. Certainly not Ultra Sabers. Haven't been able to recommend them for a long time. They have not really evolved. Their customer service is abysmal. The way they treat their employees is, believe it or not, worse. No. I will keep the ones that I have, but I will never buy another one. And the ones
they
that
were
I have
actually going to be my first lightsabers.
Like they were for most people.
Yeah, still are. I don't know if you've been in any of the Facebook groups, but actually even in the subreddit, almost everybody in Texas is keeping Ultra Sabers in business. Just Texas alone. Which I don't blame them. I can't blame them. If you're new to the hobby, you only know what you know. And with this hobby, a lot of what you know is word of mouth.
Yes.
So if they're local and you got a buy local mindset, you're gonna buy local. Hey, there's no cut cards for that. No hate for it. Howsoever, you're gonna find out just how trash Ultra Sabers has become.
Yes.
You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. Oh, excuse me. I drank that tea too fast. Ooh. Yeah, my first ever lightsaber was gonna come from them. I think I had done parts to create a Graflex, and it came out to like 400, 450.
Yeah.
At the time, that was reasonable. I'm glad I ended up not having the money for it, because you see, or rather, at that point, at the height of their popularity, then you see like a year or two later, here come all the horror stories. And then it's like, okay, everybody got the same experience, and it's literal 1 in 300 to 500 that has any bit of pleasant experience. That's not good. That's really not good. 1 in every 300 to 500. Mm-mm.
No.
I like. I really have to give credit to Electrum Sabers. I have to give them credit. They got shysted. To not entirely their fault. Not entirely. They definitely bear some responsibility in executing blind trust. Howsoever, that was good faith on their part, which was unfortunately abused. It was abused and taken advantage of, and Electrum is making it right now with all of every single saber that they're putting out now has a custom Profi chassis and a fully equipped Profi board. Profi 3.9, no less. The reason I love 3.9 over 2.2, it actually has a slumber function. They don't tell. Nobody says anything. Nobody has yet to say anything about it. None of the prop collectors, none of them, none of the reviewers believe that there is a sleep function on the Profi. It's not the same type of sleep function that's on CFX, but there is a sleep function on the Profi to where you let enough time go by, it's not doing anything. See, I have all my gesture controls active. It's not doing anything until.
Greetings, Exalted One.
Gotta press the button. I love that for Electrum, and my faith in them has been restored. It has been restored.
Yeah, my wife and I have 2 Electrums, and we have beaten the absolute tar out of them. One of them is the old D2, mine's a D3, and neither one of them barely even works anymore. But we adore the healths.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we
will be getting them
really
rebuilt. I've always loved my Evo Flex with authentic battle damage. Yeah, it I do not think we'll even turn on at present.
Evo Flex is still, out of their entire line, Evo Flex is still my favorite one from Electrum. I just prefer tactile buttons. I'm one of those people. If I get an Evo Flex, I would have to get somebody to put tactile buttons on it.
Yeah, the touch buttons take some getting used to. You know, definitely, no, nothing to press. Uh, but I grew to enjoy them. Number of reasons. Big one being you can set it so that they just won't respond to your glove, which doesn't sound like that would be ideal, but it means you can't deactivate it in combat without taking off your glove. For showmanship, especially, that can be helpful. Means you're not going to accidentally mess with any settings. Of course, the less awesome part, if you can't take off a glove, and I often can't because of the way my gloves are tied on, you're going to be using your nose to turn it on or off.
Or God forbid your tongue. Oh God. When I was looking for a UOFlex on YouTube, I wish I never came across some videos that I did. But I also can't blame them for it either. Because I know that had to taste nasty. But
yeah,
they did it. They got it done. They were creative. They worked with the situation they had. Oh man. I'm glad they had to go through it so I don't. I'm glad they went through it so I don't have to go through it and nobody else does.
No. I would not. I would be begging bystanders for help before I licked a lightsaber hilt.
I'll walk right up to a judge like, so I need help, please. Just press this button right here. Just press that. Does yours have gesture controls?
No. The D3 did not have gesture controls. I mean, it was fairly advanced for its era. Not necessarily the most advanced board of its era, but it did okay. Has a couple features that are still not standard on cheaper boards today. Auto lockup and that kind of thing.
That's a profi feature.
Of course, the Bluetooth control is actually really cool. I know a lot of people had a lot of trouble with it. I didn't start having trouble with it until the board got old. This lightsaber is a good 5 or 6 years old, and I mean, we're combat groups. It's been beaten up. I mean, I'm literally missing pins out of it and all kinds of things. So anyway, the long and short of it is I don't regret the purchase. We'll have it rebuilt. We'll bring it back to life. It's also just got sentimental attachment. My wife got it for me before we got married, and it was my first higher end lightsaber. Everything before that had been at best, you're
I guess that brings up
your click.
I guess that brings up a very good follow-up question. How do you feel about lightsabers as heirlooms, like real life heirlooms? I know in universe there's various iterations of them being passed down from to descendants or to Padawan and so on and so forth. How do you feel about them as a real life application heirloom?
Well, I imagine with the community growing and the collector community especially is probably going to see that out of the most. Yeah, 100%. Some of these are going to be, some of them will probably be heirlooms for emotional reasons. Some of them will probably be heirlooms just because, hey, no, my dad collected this stuff. It was awesome. And it's in a display case in my house. Some of them will inevitably suffer the fate of other collectibles and will be donated to Goodwill.
That said, That's the fear.
Yeah, and I guarantee you it's coming. Uh, Depending
Yeah,
on your hilt, a lot of these are just going to be some weird collectible that isn't important when
yeah,
you pass. Um,
yeah. I can see that because I don't. In terms of like passing it down, unless I guess unless your kid or your loved one is actively in that hobby with you, actively participating, I don't think it would hold as tight a bond to the hilt as whomever is in it firsthand. So whether that's you or if you are the descendant from the parent, they're super into it. You're not, and they pass it down to you. I can see that not having as much value.
it may, and it depends. In like for example, for you, I mean, your kids know you absolutely love the sport, and love your sabers. Even if they one day don't continue, it would not surprise me if one of those hilts ends up being something they keep on their desk
Mhm.
at the very least.
Yeah, I I have one. Uh, Actually, the one I'm trying to get to you is actually sitting on my wife's desk right now. I love. She doesn't pay any attention to it, understandably, because it's not her youngling slayer. But I love the way it looks mounted up there. I love it. Like she's not in awe of it like I am. Understandable. I'm just glad I got to get her one, and now her desk looks intergalactic.
Yeah, it's one thing we haven't done since we moved. Haven't taken the time to hang our sabers back up. Our more emotionally attached ones
Hmm.
tend to get displayed on the wall.
Do they just I guess have a permanent fixture on display, or uh, do they move around? Do you move them around the house?
Generally speaking, we'll choose a spot that has meaning, and they'll stay where they are, and then we'll take them down and take them to practice and put them back up when we come home. For example, my EvoFlex, being my most cherished one, will normally hang where my recliner sits, my favorite chair. So that's where that one gets displayed.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just like a mantle. It's like, yeah, that's my spot. That's my holy grail. We're gonna put that right there.
Yep, exactly how it went.
Well, this has been great. I am actually really nervous for teaching.
You're gonna be
I
fine.
I really believe I'm going to be all right. Um, I already have a lesson plan. My challenge is going to be not rambling about the technological aspects of these things because I can go all day. I can go all day, and we will get nothing done.
That is
All right.
always the challenge of the teacher. Where do you draw the line between I am giving you information I believe is useful and wait, now we're out of time and I didn't show you how to do anything?
Yeah, but today we're just going to teach some basic spins, teach how to do it correctly, so no one hurts themselves. Um, I'm glad I got to use my kids as guinea pigs for the trial run to see just how beginner I should expect or keep my expectations. If I can teach them how to do it, I can definitely teach a class. My twins can spin. They can do at least a basic wrist twirl. They can at least do a basic wrist twirl. I'm gonna teach them how to do a full Obi Annie eventually. But we'll see. I think the class can get a full Obi Annie today. I think they can do a full Obi Annie without an issue. You know who I'm really hoping shows up? Daniel.
Agreed.
I'm really hoping he shows.
Agreed.
He has been
almost sent him home with one of the trainers when he was like, "I don't have a saber. What will I train with?"
Right?
Almost, and then forgot to just hand it to him.
He has been my favorite addition to our class. He has definitely been my favorite addition. Like, I'm talking brand spanking new to the hobby, brand spanking new to the sport. Comes in what 2 weeks? 2 weeks before I challenged him. 2 weeks before I challenged him at the end of class, and he won. Did not break form. Kept to the form. His reaction was quick on it. He was more focused on getting the technique right rather than just going for the win.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and he has definitely inspired me to rewire how I've been processing the lessons. So I'm really hoping Daniel pops through today. I'm a little sad that our young members didn't get a chance to participate last time. But hopefully with this being virtual, they can just pop in at least for a little bit. Because I really want him to make us some saber sashes. Because con season is coming. Please tell me a skunk did not just spray our air system. Oh my god. We've had skunks in plenty out here lately, and people keep running them over in the middle of the night, and
yeah, that'll do it.
Like, we'll have a whole maybe mile long stretch. It reeks of skunk.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like my one downside to being, I guess I would call this country, growing up as a Maryland city boy. This for me is country. This is for me country county, because I have never encountered this much wildlife and open area. I love it. It's so peaceful. It's so peaceful and quiet.
It's perfect for Jedi meditation.
Oh my god. Like 1 a.m., that's when I put it on. That's when I go for it. There's no noise, you hear nothing but nature. It's perfect, especially when it's thunderstorming. Oh Lord, yes. Yeah. Chat. This has been my first interview, and you also have gotten to see me sweat for like an hour and a half because I'm nervous about teaching a class. I've never taught a class before, and just like I've never gotten into a lightsaber combat before, this will be no different. I have full faith. I have full faith in our class as a full collective. We have definitely garnered some awesome performers.
We have.
Jay is a powerhouse. I know I'm 6'3" and big, but that man is a powerhouse. Like if we ever needed a Vader, we have a Vader. We have Vader. Jay is Vader for sure. If Jay is Vader, I'm probably Luke. I'm probably Luke. As much as I do my spins like Hayden, I've looked over some of the footage that Ethan sent me. I'm definitely a Luke. I'm a prequels kid. Howsoever, I have an original trilogy build. Original trilogy hilts work for me. I am anxious to see how well V2 is. Yeah, the Luke hilts, they definitely work for what they are built for, which is parrying. Thin necks are definitely built for parries. If you're a fighter and a spinner who likes more aggression, you want something solid, or at the very least you want to choke. At the very least you want to choke. But if you are on Discord, if you're available today, this Sunday the 22nd, join us. We'll be in the Queensguard Discord server. Look us up on Facebook, the Queensguard of Charlotte. Shoot us a message. We'll get you in the server. We'll get you linked up to our events. If you're able to make it in person, love to have you. If you're not able to make it in person, if you're not even in the state and you still want to learn, we'll be doing virtual classes in the future. So still, join us. We'd love to have you. We look forward to meeting you. Jared, thank you so much for coming through on the podcast. This has been an invigorating episode. The force is indeed strong in this group. And I really believe we were all brought together for a reason. So thank you for taking that leap that sparked this rebellion.
Thank you very much for having me and for being a part of the Queensguard. We are the better for it.
As am I. I'm pretty sure I've got on my wife's nerves a lot. I still get on her nerves a lot with it. But Lifey, thank you for being supportive and actually pushing me to learn this hobby and not just be a casual consumer. That being said, KB Productions and Queensguard will be teaming up soon for not only Lightsaber production is way down the line, but we are teaming up for lightsaber maintenance and programming. So if you have a Profi board and you need some coding, you want some custom configs, hit us up. If you just have some components on your hilt that need some tweaking, that need some repair, hit us up. We got you. Shoot us a DM on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shoot me a DM. Hit us up on Discord as well. If you have any more questions, Jared, where can they find you on your socials?
Well, you can reach out to the Queensguard on Facebook. We have a TikTok. We have a Discord. We have an email address listed. If you happen to make it in person, we have a fancy QR code that'll take you to everything, up to including our phone number. We are here if you need us.
Indeed, we are. Thank you, everybody, for coming through. Thank you again, Jared, for stopping by. Please give Lexi my best. Also, if you two are able to pop through for the class today, I would love to see you. Those of you that I will see in Discord, bring water. Bring water, stretch, do a few planks, because once we get started, we're going full tilt. All right. Once again, I'm Cal. This is Jared. We are the Queen's Guard. Well, we are two of the Queen's Guard. And as always, may the Force be ever with you. Take care, everybody.